Thank you all. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. This is the session of Dodge the Expertise Trap, and with us for that session, we have Prasad Dharmavaram, Director, Core Storage R&D VMware India. He currently heads the Cloud Native Storage Management R&D group, working on SaaS transformation and storage management for containers. He has about 25 years of leadership and management experience in software industry. Prior to joining VMware, Prasad worked at Sun Microsystems, Tektronix, and Siemens in various leadership positions in software research and development. And Prasad's educational journey has been very enriching. He has an MTech in computer science from Mysore University, research in image processing at IISc Bangalore, and project management from Stanford University, USA. He's a certified project manager. On top of that, Prasad is very passionate about understanding the human psychology of happiness and motivation to enable him to be a better coach and mentor. And working towards that goal, he extended his education with a master's MA degree in psychology. So this is absolutely amazing, and we are thrilled to have you here, Prasad, with us. And who better to tell us about Dodge the Expertise Trap? I'll hand it over to you. Over to you, Prasad. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shubhanjali, for the kind introduction. So what's the agenda? I'm going to talk about who is an expert. Of course, we all know, but we'll just get a quick snapshot of who is an expert and what is this expertise trap. I think we've been hearing a lot about this expertise trap of late, and you've seen a lot of articles on it, a lot of books written on it. So what's this expertise trap, and what are the pitfalls of this expertise trap? We'll talk about that a little bit. I'll show some examples, and from history, like what do we learn about experts and the trap the experts can fall into, and then how do we break free of this expertise trap. So this is the agenda for this session. So I will start with who's an expert. I mean, we all pretty much know who is an expert. Someone who has a track record, who has mastered a body of knowledge, knows their subject very well, someone who has been recognized as successful, someone who is the best coder, developer, best manager, best HR person, salesperson, and someone who we look up to. And we go to this person for answers. We go to this person for advice. I mean, this is not new. I mean, it just put it here in bullet points, but we all know who is an expert, right? So we always go to this expert, and we always need experts, and we also always strive to be an expert. This is this is something which is sought after, and the entire industry is always looking for experts. So then it sounds good, right? I mean, definitely being an expert sounds good. Everyone wants an expert. Sounds very good. In fact, sounds very, very good. We all need that expertise. Then what's wrong with being an expert? I mean, this session, the expertise trap doesn't mean that we should not be experts, right? It's the awareness of what can happen, what are the pitfalls during certain circumstances. So this is a perspective, a view that we can get to see what can happen if we get into a shell being an expert. So this talk is all about that. So let's see, if we look at these international brands. I thought I'll ask a question here. Looks like it's only through chat. So you see big names here, Blockbuster, Enron, MySpace, Toys R Us, Borders Bookstore. Some of you who have been to US or heard about these. General Motors, of course, and then there's another list of Kingfisher Airlines, Tata Nano, Chevrolet. There's a big list, and of course Nokia. Nokia is also in this list. So can anyone tell me what's common? What's common amongst these big brands? Right? These are big brands. Even today, we know about these brands. We know what they have delivered, and we have all used at least some of these brands. What's common among them? Some of these brands don't exist anymore, right? Some of these brands are not even there. If you look at this list here, you can see the list: Blockbuster, Kingfisher Airlines. Some of them are not even around. So not only some of the brands don't exist, but some of the products, for example, Tata Nano. Tata, of course, is a pretty big company, but their products have failed. Some of the products have not taken off as they expected. So if you look at this, it took about 38 years. On the left side of this slide, if you see telephone, it took 38 years to reach about 10 million people. And you can see cable TV about 25 years. If you move up this list, fax machines, cell phones took about nine years to get to 10 million households. And then as you move up the list, Facebook took just 2 years to get to 10 million people. So it's quite disruptive. On the right side, if you see on this slide, Encyclopedia Britannica, I think some of you have probably heard about it. In the 1990s, it's pretty big. In fact, some of the people would buy these 10, 20 volume big books that you would see in your in your homes, for references. And then came Encarta. Encarta actually later, I think, was acquired by Microsoft. Pretty much got Encyclopedia Britannica out of business. Then came Wikipedia. So if you can see, all these disruptions have happened, and because of those disruptions, back then there were this Blockbuster, which would be those video rentals in US. Even in India, we had video rentals. What happened to all those businesses? They're all bankrupt. Netflix and Amazon Prime, they all came and pretty much disrupted all the traditional businesses. And look at the Tata Nano sales. It started with a big fanfare, supposed to be a big disruptor in the market, but that did not take off as well. Similarly, Nokia, and we've all seen, I think some of us probably have used Nokia phones as well. They were a big hit back then, but over the years, it pretty much went out of business. But then now, of course, it is reinventing and coming back in a different shape. So they were all experts in their respective areas. As you can see, all these businesses, they were big brand names. They were well respected world over. Then what happened, right? So then why did they fail? What happened in that these big businesses that were very well respected, all of us used, why did they all fail? Here, what I have shown, they're all organizations, but what applies to organizations, they apply to individuals as well. I mean, we have seen experts around us, individuals who at one point of the time, they were like really good at what they were doing. They were experts, either they were expert coders, they were expert salespeople, expert HR managers. So in different fields, in all of our respective areas, we have seen individuals who were experts. But we have also seen some of them sort of fizzle away. They did not continue to grow their expertise and grow into different areas and become much more senior and more valuable in the industry. So what happened? So what happened is a lot of organizations and a lot of people fell into this expertise trap. What is this expertise trap? If you are in an expertise trap, if you like things to be fixed and certain, you don't want change, you don't like much change at all. You pretty much know that your ways are very good and you want to just continue and don't want to change. You don't like to go outside your area of expertise because you are not comfortable in that. This leads to complacency and it impacts growth. Again, very similar, right? You know everything. Why do you want to go? Why do you want to explore something outside your area of expertise? You know that if I do this well, things would be good. So you're not exploring anything outside your area. And you insist on sticking to the old ways. This is, again, some of the experts who are not open. We will also talk about it, like how do we get out of this? But then if you think that these are some of the personality traits that you have, then you need to be worried. You need to think twice. Okay, is this something that's hindering my growth, or is this something that's okay? Is this what my organization needs? Is this in tune with what I am looking for my own personal growth? So if you insist on sticking to the old ways, if that works, but as we have seen historically, it hasn't. So this is also a trap that you fall into because you know that you're an expert and you fail to own your own mistakes. These are also, again, some of the traits. Because you are an expert, how can you make mistakes? You consider yourself above the lowly workforce. I mean, this is, again, something that we have seen time and again, especially within our teams. Someone who's been around for a very long time, they think, oh, I know everything. I'm an expert. I've been around for a long time. And someone who's just new to the team, they are new. They don't know. I mean, I know everything. What do I have to learn from the other person? So this is also another trap that you can fall into. And you discourage input or challenges from your colleagues. Again, this is very clear. We have seen that. Sometimes the reason we get people from different organizations, different industries, because we want to learn from them. We want to learn, and if you are close to that, and you don't want to take inputs from your colleagues, whether from different organizations or people whom you have hired from other organizations, this can again be a trap that can curtail your growth. And you're out of touch with the latest industry trends, and because old is gold, but that's again a trap. And there are industry trends. I will show you in the next set of slides what exactly happens when you fall in this trap. There are more. We can go on. I mean, you get the drift here. You know what happens. I mean, based on these few points that I showed, exactly what's happening, and you should sit and think, okay, am I in any of this? Am I displaying any of this? Am I stuck in any of this? You believe that your way is the right way. I mean, if you think this is what you believe, it's time to think. You need to see, how do I get out of this? You are overconfident in your abilities, leading to very incurious. You are not curious at all. You are blinkered. You just have a tunnel vision. You are very vulnerable to change. You don't want to pick up anything new because you've been an expert all along, and your past success, you may think that, okay, this can continue forever. Your brilliance gets in your way. Your brilliance keeps you from being curious, creative, and sometimes even nice to be around. Actually, we have seen this. In fact, the last one, sometimes even nice to be around. We have seen it in some organizations. Some of the tech leads, senior people, they think, I'm the boss. I know everything around. And they can be pretty snobbish. They can be arrogant with juniors. They can be arrogant with some of the new team members. And that, again, is especially in the current market, in the current industry, the way the industry is heading. This is, again, a trap you can fall into, and pretty soon you may just lose your relevance. And you have a tunnel vision. Again, we talked about it. You spend all your time trying to get better at one thing, and you miss out. And I'll show you some examples, what can happen if you get into this tunnel vision. Let's see some things from our history. So as a travel expert, you knew that people will always take traditional cabs. Again, there were experts who always thought that people would take cabs. As a hotel industry expert, you knew that people will always stay in a hotel. I mean, again, these are some points in the past. We have seen, experts who thought this way. As a retail expert, you knew that people would always want to try on shoes and apparel before they bought them. And again, we have seen this. As a restaurant expert, you always knew that people would dine in. As a bookshop expert, you always knew that people would come to a bookstore and buy a book. And movie industry expert, you always thought that you would watch movies in a theater. So we have seen these. They're all experts, and we have seen. We have all been consumers to some of these experts who have built all these big industries. Then what happened, right? These experts were inside the box when Ola, Uber happened, Airbnb, Oyo, Amazon, Kindle, Netflix, Swiggy, Zomato, Dunzo, Zappos, you name it. I mean, there are like so many names here, right? How did all of these happen? And why is it that those experts who were in the similar industry, bookshops, they were in the restaurant industries, they were in the movie industries, they were, travel industries, why did not they see this change? Because they were all boxed in. And I showed you this list earlier at Blockbuster, Enron, Sears, MySpace. And I know the list actually can go into multiple slides. If I start listing down all these companies, it can, BlackBerry was pretty big. Just 10 years back, we've all seen BlackBerry. We've all carried BlackBerry phones. What happened? So this is, very important to see. We need to learn, as we say, right? I mean, we need to learn from the history. If you see here, all these were experts. None of them were like very ordinary brands. They're all big brands and very successful companies. And they're all gone now. And we've seen this famous quote from DEC CEO, 1977. I think most of you know this. He said, there is no reason anyone would want a computer in their home. And Ken Olsen, of course, he was an expert. He was an expert in, in his big mainframes, big computers. And he didn't see that there would be a need for a small computer in their home. And we have now seen it is just like 45 years back. It was not like 100, 200 years back. Just 45 years back, someone thought that, the expertise is in big computers and there's no need for a small computer at home. So these are good examples, as you can see, that if you have a tunnel vision, if you think you are an expert and you don't need to learn and you don't need to explore other things, you can become obsolete. What applies to organizations applies to individuals. So here, as I said earlier, the examples that I have shown here, they apply to big organizations, but the same thing applies to individuals too. So we need to learn from history and try to dodge this expertise trap. So what do we do? How can we get over this? So there are a few things. I mean, we all know about it. It is, again, just for a reference for everyone here. So resist being ego-driven. Challenge your deep-rooted ideas. It's very important. You know you're an expert. You have a lot of ideas, but then if you continue with that, because in the maybe 50 years back, 100 years back, 200 years back, probably it worked. But now things move so fast, as I showed you in the earlier slide. For a telephone to reach 10 million people, it took 38 years. But for Facebook, it just took 2 years. So if you are in Facebook, and we have seen the Facebook stock, what happened to the Facebook stock, right? And we have seen several other companies whose stock deep dived. So what happened? Even Netflix, if you see, Netflix, fell almost like 400-500%. So the faster it grows, unless you change, and if you have deep-rooted ideas, if you think that, okay, Facebook, this is how it will work, this is definitely going to work, and we've seen what happens, the market immediately reacts, and then you'll have to, again, it will take a long time for you to, again, change your ideas, change your design, change your route to get back again into business. Actively seek to learn from your team is very important. We need to keep learning. Look for fresh talent, seek inputs from juniors, get diverse views. This is very important. Sometimes we don't ask our juniors, their input. In fact, nowadays, if you see people who come out of colleges, they have a lot to offer. Their views are very different, as we call them, the millennial kids. I mean, they have a lot to offer because they use the products in a different way. They have a different view about world. They have a different view of a lot of things. So it's very important that we seek their inputs. Maybe 20-30 years back, that never used to happen. Probably few pockets that would happen, but now it's very important. We need to seek their input and get diverse views from every diverse expertise out there. We need to get their views. Learn from someone you respect. It's very important. Again, start experimenting. So you learn. As you can see, the drift here, from all these points, it's about experimenting. It's not about just sitting and going with what you already know. It's about reaching out. It's about talking to people. It's about getting different views, and then start experimenting. And then challenging yourself. You challenge. Okay, I know in the past things have failed for other companies. If I continue to do what I do, it might fail again. Acknowledge your errors and what they teach you. This is very important. I know it's very important for us to stop, look within, and see, are there any errors that I'm committing? Are there any mistakes in my design? Are there any mistakes in my strategy? And then see if you can change that. Learn to say, I don't know. This is very important. It's very important, especially if you are an expert, you may end up saying, I know everything, right? But no longer. We have seen from the past that, that didn't help. It might work for you for a couple of years, but pretty soon, your ideas or your expertise might just become obsolete. The next one is be curious. Think outside the jar. So question the core assumption. Ask the question, why are you really doing this? All of these points are very important. And as you can see, right, these are all the things that you need to be aware of. And when you are especially working on a product, which is very important. And if you keep doing what you're doing, I mean, we have heard this. If you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you always got. So that's how it has been always. Get out of your comfort zone. Let me just quickly check the chat here. Is there anything? Okay. All right. So get out of the comfort zone. And as you can see here in this, if you end up in the comfort zone, the growth won't happen. Right. So before growth happens, there will be a fear zone. So you need to get out of your comfort zone, get into the fear zone. There will be always this discomfort. You will lack confidence. You will always find excuses, and you will be affected by others' opinions. So all of this will happen in that fear zone. Then you will enter the learning zone. That is where you will actually start acquiring new skills, because you were an expert earlier. That was a comfort zone. You always were happy there because no one else was there to threaten you. But then based on history, based on the when you look around, you'll see that it's no longer happening that way. The expertise is very soon becoming obsolete. Your skill set is becoming obsolete. We have seen it in every area that we have known. So then you learn, and then growth happens, right? You find a new purpose, and then you set new goals, and then conquer your objectives. So instead of thinking outside the box, just get rid of the box. So I like this quote from Walt Disney. I mean, I'll just show a few of these quotes from some of the experts that we have known. I can never stand still. I must explore and experiment. I mean, again, Walt Disney, we have seen. That's why they continue to be relevant, right? We have seen, the creativity that comes out of the Walt Disney industry, right? From that company, it's always there because they never are satisfied with what they have delivered in the past, and they continue to grow and innovate. And this is another quote from Thomas Edison: "There's a way to do it better, find it." And of course, we have Indra Nui. I'm almost wrapping up here. So just few quotes that I like. I wanted to show it to you all that it's very important that you need to think differently. And if Pepsi always thought that they would have only male CEOs, and we wouldn't have seen the growth that we have seen in Pepsi. And this is again, we have now seen Indra Nui, how she turned Pepsi around from a company that was almost becoming irrelevant to something what it is now. It's a pretty big turnaround that Indra Nui has. And if Pepsi always thought men were experts, and we will continue to do what we would do, that would have probably ended up in again Pepsi to be added to that list of the slide that I showed you earlier. But that did not happen. And of course, Steve Jobs here talks about innovation, and Apple, we know, is pretty much always very disruptive. They never stop, they never pause. You either innovate or perish. And this is another thing I liked. She is a founder of Girls Who Code. So she says that perfectionism prevents us from taking double steps in our career. So we think we have to be perfect, we don't. So this is again very important. We again, when you think you are an expert, you think you are perfect, you may not grow. So it's very important to try this. And Ginny Rometty, CEO of IBM, you can see again, all of the people, if you see, right, the successful people we have seen have always come out of their comfort zone, right? Growth and comfort do not coexist. That's what Ginny said. And we have seen it. Why are they successful? Because they got out of the comfort zone. The earlier slide that I showed you, you get out of your comfort zone, then you'll be in a zone of fear, then you'll enter the zone of learning, then finally growth happens, right? Anyone here know who she is? Probably you should all know, because Women Who Code conference, this is the Women Who Code conference, and this is Gian Bartik. She was probably the first women coder, I think in 1920s or 30s, if I remember correctly. And you can read it here. And she's also in the Hall of Fame. And she proved, back then, she's one of the successful women software developers, and she got out of the comfort zone, and she's now in the Hall of Fame. And Cheryl Sandberg, of course, the time is long overdue to encourage more women to dream and the possible dream. So I wanted to actually pause at that slide, this earlier slide. I didn't have the next slide here. So there's a dream, and then there is this quote from Mark Zuckerberg. I like this. People don't care about what you say, they care about what you build. So both are important. Dream is important, and what you do is very important. Actually, this is another amazing quote. I actually wanted to end this presentation with the earlier one, but then, just a few minutes before this started, I added this here because when you dream, and if it just remains a dream, nothing happens. The world cares about what you actually build, right? So both put together are very important for you to get out of your comfort zone. And as an expert, if you think I can talk and get away, that's no longer going to take you to places. So with that, I will stop. And this is almost the end of the presentation. Dream big and deliver big. And thank you. Over to you.
Hey, Prasad, thanks a lot. I think it was amazing session, and this session is something which all of us can relate ourselves with. As in, it's not specific to any individual, and it is kind of something. Even every slide of yours and every point of yours, I'm thinking I'm putting myself and I'm thinking how I can relate to. So one question that came to my mind, and I thought I'll ask you. And so generally we have a myth, right, that during an interviews or something, you always have to ensure that you keep saying that. You never say I don't know. You say, okay, yeah, I know a bit of it, but yeah, still I'll try to learn and grow. So, what would be your piece of advice for freshers who are out and generally they have a thought that they have to enter into the industry in this competitive world, but still they have all these other things in mind where you should not say no, you should still try to adjust the interview. So, what will be your piece of advice for freshers who are up in the market who's going to come in?
Again, see, the this presentation, the expertise trap, again, doesn't mean that you should not be an expert, right? You need to definitely be an expert, right? And at the same time, you need to also be a learner, constant learner, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that you would know you're not an expert, let's say, in another area. Let's take the coding languages, for example, right? Probably you're an expert in Java, and then Go lang is new and you probably don't know that, but you're learning, right? So I think it's changing slowly. I won't say the industry is changing. That where everyone would accept that if you say no, but it's important to start putting it in a way that okay, you are a learner, and you are exploring. It's very important to show that you are a constant learner, and that's where in your resume and whatever, whether it's freshers or experts, if you keep trying different things, it shows that you are not someone who's just like probably in your comfort zone, right?
Right.
Your resume should display that you constantly keep getting out of your comfort zone. And also you should say, I mean, you're learning. I mean, learning doesn't mean you are an expert already, right? So you should put it in a way that you are learning. And of course, if you something, if you don't know, you don't know, and you have to be open about it, rather than
Yeah.
attempt a question and then say you don't know how to solve it. But outright you can say, this particular language I don't know, but I can solve the same thing in, let's say, some other programming language that I know, but I know very well how to write algorithms or how to solve a problem, but the language is a different thing. That's an example specific to language, but we can extend it to other functional areas as well.
Yes, yes, yeah, I think that answered my question. So I think all said, and we're also on time, and it was a great having you here, Prasad. A lot of takeaways, I should say. Every slide, and even I felt if this session would have been a hour or 2 hours, I can still keep hearing to you on all these advices. I think we need a place where you can collate all these together and present, right? So I think this is a perfect day, and of course, audience would have had a great time hearing you. Thanks for having us here. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pavitra, and thanks to all the organizers for inviting me. It was great. Thank you all.